Hi folks, Brandon Epperson here. I'm here to call bullshit on one of the biggest scams of all time. This whole conservative ideology bullshit that's spewed forth on all conservative talk shows across the AM dial these days. I've heard it till I can't stand it anymore, and it's just time I gotta call bullshit on it. You know, driving home tonight, I was listening to this conservative talk show horse's ass telling his audience how they were the informed ones, they were the educated ones, and of course, if you have any knowledge of the other side of the argument, and I mean a real understanding of the other side of the argument, then you're not informed, you're indoctrinated. So that's horse shit. I'm here to call horse shit on it, and it's time to look at the other side. The reality is, sorry to say it, if you're making less than $200,000 a year and you're voting Republican, you're a sucker. Wake up. The reality is you are not representing yourself. The conservative scam. An example, healthcare. They want to tell you we can't afford healthcare. We can't afford national healthcare. We can't afford to help people. You don't want to put a bureaucrat between you and your doctor. But, come on, $170 billion to bail out these, at the most crooks, at the least incompetent fools that are running these industries, these businesses on Wall Street. We're all paying for it now, but we can't afford healthcare. It's ridiculous. We pay about healthcare. Police, doctors. I think that doctors are as important as police, at least, certainly. You got to be able to go to the doctor. You got to be able to treat a disease, right? Tax dollars pay for police and fire. You dial 911 when you have an emergency, the police come to your house. Imagine if you called the police and you didn't have any protection insurance. Or imagine if they came in an emergency and ran the intruder off, but didn't investigate because you don't have any insurance. They're going to stick you with a bill. Doesn't make much sense. It sounds kind of ridiculous, but what's the difference? The reality is there isn't a difference. One's just as important as the other. We need health care. We can afford health care. We can give billions of dollars to other countries to fight a drug war that we're obviously losing. The money that we piss away daily is ridiculous. We can afford it. We can do better. They just don't want to do it. And why should they? Why interrupt giant companies making huge dollars off of health care? And this whole bullshit story about a bureaucrat between you and your doctor, please, it's not necessary. There's many ways of doing this. There's different ideas, from full health coverage to major medical health coverage. Meet in the middle. Have a national health care policy for the people who fall between the cracks. So many different ways of doing this, meeting in the middle, coming to compromise. But no, they just want to tell you how incompetent the government is and how they can't run anything, unless, of course, they're talking out the other side of their face, where they talk about the American Armed Forces are the greatest in the world, and, of course, they're managed wonderfully, and they are. Just a perfect example of when the United States government does do something right. We can do this. It is doable. Don't fall for their bullshit. The reality is, it's a con. This whole thing is just a bunch of bullshit. How this group of conservatives who want to protect their own asses by tricking the middle class and the working class people into voting for them, into paying their way. This whole ideology, this whole idea of taking money, giving it to the rich so they can invest it and have more money in hopes that it trickles down to the working class or the poor people. This is horse shit. Total, unbelievable horse shit. The reality of this whole thing is, if you're making less than $200,000 a year and you're voting Republican, you're a sucker. I'm sorry, you're a sucker. Doesn't mean you're stupid, just means you're uninformed. You're hearing one side of the argument, which we hear daily, just spewed out of the mouths of these asses that are constantly taking advantage of people. And they want to tell you how their ideology works, the other ideology is flawed. The whole idea is just ridiculous and absurd that if you don't vote Republican or conservative, then you're not a patriot. If you aren't pro-life, that you're not a Christian. I got news for you, folks. I've never met anybody who was pro-death in this whole debate. I heard an ad on the way, a commercial on the radio with a lady telling me that she was only going to vote for pro-life candidates. Well, that's a wonderful idea, unless, of course, I want to surrender my country and, create jobs by creating puppy grinding factories. But I'm pro-life, so that's okay. It's bullshit. Pro-life is pro-life. The opposite of pro-life is not pro-death. It's pro-choice. When you think this through, think about it logically. I've never met a pro-life person, and I'm sure they're out there, of course, but most reasonable people and everyone that I've talked to who call themselves pro-life will admit there's exceptions to the rule. Rape, danger to the mother's life, danger to the child, different situations where it may be acceptable to have an abortion. Fine. So now we both understand on both sides there may be exceptions, but who's going to make that call? The mother, the doctor, or the government? That's really the debate here. If you want to be pro-life at the end of the day and be opposed to all abortions, fine, but please understand both sides. Just like the healthcare thing, please understand both sides. And I got news for you, folks. Obama is not a Muslim extremist. He's not some part of some sleeper cell. You're not going to go to hell if you vote Democrat. Please be informed. Please wake up. And if you're going to listen to these fools on the radio spew their crap, do yourself a favor and catch equal time listening to the other side. Don't be afraid of indoctrination. My name's Brandon Epperson. Thank you for this time. Hope to see you soon. Have a good day. Peace.